In today's story, our heroes wake up at dawn just in time to arrive on Kaiba Corp Island when—
There's nothing wrong with your television set. I'm in control now.
Bitch, I just started and you're already interrupting me? Of course you know. This means war.
Funny.
Dye your hair a nice shade of green, all my fellow feature outlaws. This is Card Games vs. Humanity, and I am the NKKGG. Here with that recap that you knew was coming, but you weren't sure if you wanted. Yes, it's too late to turn back. It's Season 3 of Duel Monsters. So if you enjoyed, don't forget that sub, that bell, that like. Hit up the Patreon below if you want to support me. And leave a comment telling me if you're wondering why Yugi's in cyberspace, Exodia seems to be really under the weather right now, and why everyone is focusing really hard on this penguin. But you know what penguins love? Water. So let's start there, as Lugia is about to be summoned as Kaiba's aircraft is only 1.4 miles away. Not really though, it's actually a massive underwater facility that somehow hasn't been noticed or talked about by any country on the planet. Yugi wakes up claiming that he couldn't get any sleep last night, and with Taya on board this blimp as well, we all know why. I really wish you didn't have to take the time to recap about how big of a piece of shit that Merrick is though. We kind of already know. All of a sudden, without warning though, the blimp starts to shake violently. It must be an earthquake. Oh wait.
We better veer back on course before my brother—
What's going on?
Good God. He moved faster than a dad who sensed his son and his friends were about to touch his own beer. The ship's autopilot seems to be reprogrammed and is going off course. Naturally, everyone inside arrives at the same time to come up to complain about it. Except for Marik, though, who I guess is at the top of the blimp and can somehow hear everyone talking all the way down there.
What an unexpected and amusing turn of events.
Yeah, you might change your tune on that after you find out how long this shit's gonna last. Kaiba pays his lackeys very good money, so naturally he just yells at them to make it respond, by having no guidance on how to actually help them in the first place. Steering away from the island of garbage that everyone sees in front of them, aka Duelist Island, the tower in the middle of the island symbolizes the triumph of new over old, which is kind of just how technology works 99% of the time, usually. Kaiba says that Kaiba Corp used to be a company that sold instruments of war, and when Seto took over, he tore it all down to turn it into a gaming company instead. I'm sure there's not a single country on the planet that had a problem with the billions of dollars of weaponry that just got abandoned and tossed aside. I'm sure there wasn't a single bit of pushback from any country because of this contract breaking. Seto gets pissed at Mokuba for providing character detail and story building, claiming that that's all in the past and my shit is way better, so screw him. Once I win this children's card game tournament, I'll be totally over all my daddy issues. All of a sudden, everyone goes flying forward into the ocean, causing Joey to say the only 4 words in the English language that can bring Seto Kaiba true fear.
Can you say lawsuit?
Without warning, some weird green-haired kid appears on the TV screen and says, "What's up, duelist? Heard you were having a little card game tournament. Mind if I completely fuck it up? Every move you make, every step you take, I've been watching you, and I'm gonna use this tractor beam that has no light animation and apparently somehow exists to bring you down to my massive giant underwater fortress." Everyone is very scared and upset at this rapid turn of events. Well, except for Merrick, though. He's just having fun taking the ride and is excited to see where this goes. He hasn't really done much.
I'll make that little brat pay.
I want first crack at him. Easy, he's just a kid.
You know you just said some fucked up shit when Duke Devlin's the one telling you to settle down. Our heroes head down this weird video game elevator that looks like a ripoff of an old Metroid game, landing in a giant room only to be locked in place with seemingly no escape. And because he just finished his training at the local police academy, Noah tells everyone to exit the vehicle immediately or I'll shoot you without hesitation.
Thanks to my stun phasers.
You know, I'm not even gonna point out the hilarity of these things being called stun guns because I have one question and one question only. How the fuck are those guns even aiming at them properly? Like, they weren't even close to a clear shot, and honestly, all of them could have just went deeper into the blimp and probably found at least one reinforced room just to ignore this completely. Kaiba's lackeys try to exit the blimp but are shot at immediately because this is a duelist invitation only, despite the fact that Tristan, Serenity, and Taya are there. And you're literally leaving 3 other duelists on the blimp with a Yugioh, Odeon, and Merrick. I don't know, bro. It seems a little racist. Everyone walks down the long-ass hallway where Noah has some friends that are waiting to greet them. Oh yeah, it's these 5 guys. I remember them. Totally. Hansley, Lesbit, Dunk, Johnny Boy John, and Spectre. How could I have forgotten any of them? As Kaiba Corp's previous board of directors that magically turned themselves into dragons that were killed in a video game ended up becoming lost in the virtual world. Not the digital world, the virtual world. That's something completely different. Apparently they just wandered cyberspace for what seemed like an eternity because I guess that's possible when you're not even coded properly into the game anymore. Luckily Noah doesn't care about physics and one day just said, "Oh hey, what are these things? Let me upload them into my system and see what happens."
Our minds have been trapped in this virtual prison for so long, we've lost our body.
AKA we starved to death in the pod, so we want your fresh, young teenage bodies instead. That definitely won't raise any questions once we get back to the real world and try to run the company again. All of a sudden, someone activates Dimension Fusion, sending everyone off to the not-digital world where they land in what must be the jungle part of Angel Island. The first area is always the jungle or forest.
It sure smells real.
That was me.
Tristan, that's gross.
Motherfucker's been here 5 seconds and he's already ripped ass. Like, did they have to actually program the ability to both do and smell a fart? Like, how much time went into that process? Naturally, because they landed in the jungle region, the first enemy they encounter is a giant T-Rex. Scaring everyone off except for Giga Chad Kaiba, whose evasion stat is completely maxed out, so he just stands there and lets that monster attack and swipe right through him, missing completely. All of a sudden, the clone version of Kaiba comes out of nowhere, freaking Tay out because he's actually wearing his Duel Monsters outfit.
Why duel yourself? Who better?
That's one of the few times where Kaiba says something where I'm legit not sure if it's badass or just kind of sad. Oh shit, it's Total Defense Shogun. I love that guy. He's here to fight Clone Kaiba in a duel as there's new rules to learn as Master Rule 2 is coming into effect. The admins have clearly had enough of all the broken cards being thrown around and finally decided it's time for a ban list to be put into effect. Each player not only chooses their card, but a deck master as well to represent them during battle. Each one has special abilities that we mostly won't explain and just kind of expect you to know about. Also, Total Defense Shogun is such a baller that he's his own deck master and apparently doesn't need cards or a duel disc. Clone Kaiba summons the Lord of Dragons before activating the Flutus Summoning Dragon as well. Yeah, I wonder what other 2 monsters he has in his hands that he wants to summon with this magic card. I wonder. Yeah, it's Blue Eyes. Then because it's Kaiba and he must summon a bunch of monsters in one turn, he brings out his deck master to the field as well, naturally having the perfect hand set up to summon the Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon as well.
Thanks to his Deckmaster special ability, this new fusion monster can attack immediately.
So you tried balancing the game by giving even more decks the ability to FTK. Are we sure Konami didn't write this series? Bad for Clone Kaiba, Total Defense Shogun doesn't care about having monsters or, you know, back row in the field to defend himself, as he comes built in with his own Mirror Force effect, reflecting the attack back at the Ultimate Blue Eyes Dragon, destroying it immediately. I gotta give the programmers credit. That was only slightly less dramatic than the real Kaiba. Everyone is told that if your deck master is destroyed at any time in the duel, you automatically lose, giving us even more ways to break this game in a manner that no one saw coming. Our heroes are sent back to the big room that they never seemingly left. Now trapped inside this virtual prison, they all must duel to have a chance to escape. Just giving them a chance to escape at all definitely makes sense with all the time, money, and effort that you put into this. Just then the episode ends with all the big 5 getting really, really big and even less animated than before. Well, that's it for this week's episode. I want to thank you all for watching, and of course a shout out to all my patrons. If you're wondering why it's called the virtual world and not the digital world, just know that Konami was already kind of dealing with its whole magic card lawsuit bullshit at the time, so even they have limits with their copyright infringement. This has been the man from Earth with all the growth, ladies and gentlemen. 2 episodes away, almost at triple digits. Later. Landing in a giant room only to be locked in place. Landing in a giant room. Apparently they just wandered cyberspace for. I'm sure there wasn't a single bit of Really?